What's up, guys? Mr. Knows Hoops back today with another video. And today is the start of a new series of the channel called Contender or Pretender. And it's pretty straightforward, right? I'm going to be going through some of these playoff teams that have a pretty good record or just have a superstar player going into the, into these playoffs and trying to talk with you guys whether or not this team is something real to keep an eye on, or if it's okay if you don't watch a couple of their games and, the rest is history. So, today we are talking about the Dallas Mavericks, who in their last 10 games are 9-1, 45-29, currently 5th in the West. And it's looking like Luka might get, in fact, his trilogy with Kawhi and Paul George. And now, I think we're going to get into this. But before we do, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's hit 800 subs by the end of April. And hopefully we can hit 1K before whoever hosts up the Larry O'Brien. But let's get into it. The first thing I think that this team needs to be discussed about in this 10-game stretch since March 13th, they have been third in half-court defense. And that's because, to me, of P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford. Right? So let's get right into it and look into some of these defensive possessions that, quite frankly, I don't think the Mavs would have had prior to this trade. And just sort of getting into what makes this team so different. Because this team, we also have to remember, had their rough patch for a little bit, right? Keegan Murray, Luka actually did a decent job there of cornering him just enough to get into Gafford. Beautiful block, right? That rim protection alone is something that the Mavs have not had in years. Because the issue was with Porzingis, he obviously had injury-prone, concerns, problems. And before that, they just didn't really have it. And even with Derek Lively, one guy is not going to be enough. That's a nice pass, right? Boom. Just a force to meet at the rim, right? And Gafford has 2.8 stocks, steals and blocks. And Washington has 1.9, right? Like, even if we just take a look here. Going around, gets us a bonus, right? This is a great rotation, right? Josh Green sort of tries to help cut him off just in case. Gafford catches up, gets that ball right on out of there, right? That's some good plays. And this is against now a red-hot Houston Rockets team, right? Go with the DHO, fights around. Jeff Green sort of backs down. Good little pass into Asar, right? Or not Asar, my apologies. And boom. That's just a tough play by P.J. Washington, right? And again, it's a defensive presence that this team has not had in a while. And I like this transition defense, right? Like this bump here from Kyrie. Or not. Yeah. And sort of just giving that fight. Right? Gets the ball up. And again, the extra effort defense by this team is what makes them so freaking good. Right? Like, they're playing against the top tier, defenses of the league, and they're still doing what they're doing. Right? And they're playing top offenses too, and they're just stopping these teams. Like, they've beaten good teams. They've beaten the Kings twice, who are, I think, to a lot of people, still a really good basketball team. The Red Hot Rockets, who have beaten, by the way, that Rockets team, they beat the Nuggets, who a lot of people have as the favorite to either go back-to-back or bare minimum win the West. Right? So defensively, I like this team a lot more in the playoffs. So if we had to do a little bit of a checklist of like what I think is important to remember for a contender, playoff translation to me is almost number one. Like, can the regular season showings actually be what you are to some extent? Obviously, teams are going to force you out of your groove and force you to change things up. But I like this defense going into a playoff setting a little bit. Now, their perimeter defense is a little concerning. Excuse me. But I like that they actually have a backline now for Luka and Kyrie and some of these guys. So if they lose their footing, they're able to kind of make up the ground and then help out with P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. Right? And then we got Kyrie, who in this stretch since March 13th, most of these stats are from March 13th, except for Gafford and Washington. It's just from their time in Dallas. Kyrie's giving you 26, 5, and 7 on 52 from the field, 38 from 3, and 93 from the line. Very, very similar to his overall season stats, basically. And Kyrie, we're going to get into what obviously he can help provide now, because this is the closest Luka's had to a legit helper since Porzingis, right? And I love this little screen action that they run, right? This is obviously without Luka on the floor, but look how competent at least the offense looks, right? You get Kyrie off the screen action. Chet is trying to catch up and make sure he doesn't lose his guy. Lou Dort, great screen there by Gafford, right? Boom. Easy pull-up curl action. Love that. Love the way they're able to manipulate the floor, even without Luka there, right? Because that was the other big issue in the playoffs for the Mavs. Except for a little bit when Brunson in 2022, I believe, in 2022, when obviously he had sort of stepped up and he got on everyone's radar of like, whoa, this is the guy the Mavs actually might want to consider keeping. This offense being able to actually function without Luka is going to be huge in a playoff setting because Luka needs rest, right? We've seen it in both of the Clipper series. We've even seen it at times with Phoenix or Golden State. He can get gas. Now, I think he looked just as in better shape than he's been before. But in a playoff setting where the guys are going to be playing 40 out of 48 minutes, you want Luka to be closer to 40 than he is to 45, 48, right? Right, so Kyrie here, right, gets Kaysen one-on-one. Right, and you see Derek Lively sort of trying to call for the action to get Kleber over to the other side. Kind of clear out for Kyrie to push, right? Stops. Boom. Tough shot, right? But that's something, again, Luka hasn't really had in a while. And I think that's important to always remember, right? And I love the effort. Like, look at that effort. Like, Kyrie notices, like, hey, you know, Jalen Williams, you're not going to be able to get that ball out. I can do something about it, right? You already see his hand going, like, I can get there. So just swipes it down. Doesn't even let Gordon Hayward get a chance at it. Boom. Start pushing again in transition. And I like that at times you actually see Kyrie get in that defensive stance and at least give the effort, right? Like fighting all J-Dub straight up. By the way, check out the video on J-Dub. Just came out. Right? And that's great basketball from Kyrie defensively. And if he's going to give you that effort, because he's giving about 1.4 steals, which is pretty nice. And the passing and playmaking is something I've been more aware of since he's gotten to Dallas. Because now he can actually, again, be that secondary ball handler playmaker, which is nice. This is a beautiful pass out, right? Because at this point, the defense has tried so hard and committed to the pick and pop. Or the pick and roll, my apologies. Right, you get the pick. Gafford's rolling. Dort fight over that screen anyways. Shea's just too late to get over there. Great pass by Kyrie for the corner three. Right? This is just what he's going to be able to do. And it's just what he does so, so well. So I think when we look at this going into the playoff setting in a contender-pretender way, does this team have a legit second option? Like, if the going gets tough, star player either has to, sit out for, foul trouble or just, minutes. Or if it's something like they just can only do so much, they need another guy. From what it's looking like, he's got that in Kyrie, which they haven't had in a long time. Right? So defenses had to respect him more. Now, by the way, similar to the MVP video, surprisingly enough, it is working out. I believe our league MVP in Luka Doncic, who's averaging in this stretch 30, 10, and 9 on 44 from the field, 38 from 3, and 73 from the line, which if he averages a semblance of that in the playoffs, that alone is just a huge check mark. Let's just look at what Luka's been doing, man. Right? Luka gets this matchup, backs him down, boom, boom, fades away, one-handed. It's like watching a circus. But it's just incredible, right? Again, the effort on the boards, the rebounds, Luka slows it down. He's like, okay, let's just slow the game down, right? Kyrie's here, so he can't fully sync off. But even if he did, Luka could have made that pass. Luka's three ball has changed his game to a whole new level, right? Because before it'd be like Luka sometimes can kind of get stuck in the mindset of chucking threes, right? And he's still not the greatest defender, but again, slows the game down. He's like, okay, where do we go? Boom, boom. pump out, get the Kyrie, right? You get the little pick action. So now you got the bigger guy going to Kyrie. And now Gordon's confused because he's like, I don't want KCP to just get absolutely abused. So he just waits for too long. Boom, out to Kyrie, catch and shoot. That's a bucket, right? And you could get a lot of that in the playoffs depending on who they end up playing. And again, the cut here, right? Dante Exum. Boom, swerve. Kyrie sets a nice screen. Bang, bang. Reggie jumps. Jokic is just caught defensively. And then Luka's even putting in some defensive effort, which I think needs to be noted, right? Luka's sort of sagging off of PJ Watson. My apologies if that's not correct, but I love Luka's fight here for this ball. Jamal's going to fight. He's going to see the cut. And Luka's like, no. Boom, I got this. Thank you. And goes. Right? And if he's putting in that effort defensively, again, this team is going to do something really, really special. So, in the Contender Pretender Series, Episode 1, I am giving the Dallas Mavericks a grade of dark horse contenders. Meaning, if the matchups lined up for them, if the stars aligned, do not be surprised if this team ended up in the conference finals. Now, if they play Denver, I think it's over. They had a nice run. I'm a little nervous if they end up having to play the Clippers again. Just because, again, I don't think the perimeter defense would be good for guys like Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George. But Luka has taken that team 7 by himself. So now he has a Kyrie. And that's the thing, man. This team is so deadly. So let me know what you guys think down below. Are the Dallas Mavericks legitimate contenders to you? Like, if it's like, okay, I think everyone has Dallas top of the West. Are you like, the Mavs are 2? Or are you like, more like me, where it's like, they might be like the 3rd or 4th team I expected to come out of the West. And like, if things really work, they can ascend. But I also, again, wouldn't be surprised if this team technically lost in the first round to the Clippers or upset them and then lost in the second round to whoever. Right? So let me know what you guys think down below. This was Emster Knows Hoops. Have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Peace out.